if I don't feel like I'm taking home enough money, I will take a look at my P&L, and I will spend, some time really going through the details.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Last week, folks, we talked about a balance sheet, why that is an absolutely essential part of your business. And if you didn't fall asleep in that episode, I promise you won't fall asleep in this one. This one, folks, this is absolutely, to me, a P&L is more important than a balance sheet. A balance sheet is not important. It is. It's very important, as we learned last week. But a P&L is actually a little bit more important to me. At least I find it more interesting, and it helps me to feel more successful when I read a profit loss statement on a regular basis. I'm going to teach you today how to do that. I'm going to make the same promise this week that I made to you last week. I promise to be short, okay? I promise to be under 30 minutes. I promise that the information that I give you today will be very understandable for non-CPA types. And I promise you that if you'll apply the information that we talked about last week and today, that you will see your profit rise, okay? So we're going to talk about a profit loss statement today. Your loss is going to go down, your profit's going to go up as you apply the practices that I talk about today. Another thing that's going to happen in your life is your business will do better when you have great software out there that can help you to do that. Alamode is one of those which will allow you to be able to do more with less. Check them out. Go to alamode.com. Again, it's ALAMODE.com or 800 Alamode. Datamaster is the other one that I talk about on a regular basis that will help you to be successful, folks. This will help you to be able to do more with less. Saving 30 to 60 minutes per report. Per report, folks. How many reports do you do in a month? I can tell you most appraisers are doing between 20 and 40 appraisals a month. Times that by 45 minutes. Tell me that's not worth the investment. Datamasterusa.com, datamasterusa.com. And finally, we're sponsored by OREP Insurance. OREP is the E&O that I use because it gives back. I'm going to tell you one of the ways it gives back a little later in the program. It's orep.org, OREP.org for more information. Okay, folks, last week we talked about a balance sheet. If you did not listen to that episode, I highly recommend that you do so because these folks are the twin documents that you should be looking at on a regular basis. The other one that we're not going to talk about because you know all about it is a budget. Okay, it's a budget sheet, making sure that you have things budgeted, but it plays into the P&L, which we're going to be talking about today. But again, go back to last week. And by the way, I'm just going to share with you the book that I shared last week, and I'm going to share it right up front today. I think it's super important. It makes it so easy. I mean, the book is called Accounting Made Simple, and it really does make some pretty important accounting processes and concepts very, very simple. It's by Mike Piper, CPA, Piper, Accounting Made Simple, Accounting Explained in 100 pages or less. No, I don't get a kickback for sharing that with you. I share it with you because it's been a blessing in my life. I've used it for many, many years. I think that it will be beneficial to you. It's less than $15, at least in the on the page that I'm looking at on Amazon right now. Accounting Made Simple by Mike Piper. One of the things that Mike talks about is this idea of a balance sheet. And remember from last week, a balance sheet is a snapshot of your business, of the health of your business. Think about it as putting the thermometer in the mouth of your business and pulling it out and seeing how high or low that is. And it can change over time. Okay? The health of your business can change over time. And the more you do it, the more you look at a balance sheet, the better you'll understand it. And more importantly, you'll be able to see trends. You'll be able to see that the health of your business is either improving or not improving, going down. Most likely, your business is not going to remain stagnant. Much like getting on the scale every morning, Okay, you're going to see fluctuations, and you will see the same thing in the health of your business, but you won't see that in the health of your business unless you're actually looking at it, okay? Unless you're actually taking time to understand what's going on in your business, okay? So the other thing that we're going to be talking about today is a P&L, okay? It's very, very simple, and I'm just going to explain very, very quickly what it is, okay? A P&L is just, it's a short acronym for profit and loss. P&L stands for profit and loss. Okay. Well, what does that mean, Dustin? Well, I'm glad you asked. That's why we're here. That's why we're here today. Okay. Let's talk about what a P&L looks like, and then I'm going to take you through the practice that I go through on a quarterly basis when it comes to P&L. Before I do, I've got to pause here and do the mandatory, obligatory. I am not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a schmuck with a microphone. Okay. All right. Let's talk about a P&L. Okay. A P&L is your, in its very, very basic form, it is sales or revenue minus cost. Okay. Sales minus cost equals the P part, which is profit, okay? So all you're doing is, in a very basic sense, and it gets much more complicated than this, but I'm going to keep it simple today because it doesn't have to be complicated. If it gets complicated, you won't do it, all right? So I'm going to keep it simple today. And frankly, I'm not smart enough to get complicated with a P&L. I don't spend more than 5 minutes on my P&L. Well, sometimes longer than that, maybe 10. Okay. And if I'm really trying to make a decision with a big purchase, for example, or I'm just not taking home enough money. Okay. That's another motivator for me. If I don't feel like I'm taking home enough money, I will take a look at my P&L and I will spend, some time really going through the details. My bookkeeper, not my accountant, but my bookkeeper sends me my balance sheet and my P&L every quarter. And every once in a while, when things don't look quite right to me, I will go back to my bookkeeper and I'll say, hey, if you don't mind, Jerry, I really need a detailed P&L this time. It's very easy for her. Okay, she just goes back to QuickBooks and she just does a detailed version, which is several pages long, like 30, 40 plus. But it allows me to go through and really see where the categories get broken down. Because a category might be software, for example, but a breakdown will tell me where I'm spending my money in specific software, okay, which will allow me to be able to say, do I really need that? By the way, if it's Alamo, Datamaster, and ANow, the answer is yes, I do. Okay, so a P&L is basically your revenue, okay, that's your gross revenue. And then you've got the cost of doing business, okay? So your cost of doing business is simply your overhead. Now, this can be your soft and your hard, and it needs to be your soft. I shouldn't say it could be. It needs to be. It's both, okay? It's your soft, your cost of goods sold, or sometimes they refer to that as COGS, okay? COGS, cost of goods sold, okay? Or your direct costs, and then your operating expenses is your overhead, okay? This is soft, this is hard, okay? This is a breakdown. All you're basically doing is looking at the profit, okay, and your loss so that you know what your net profit is at the bottom. I want to pause here and remind you that we are sponsored by 3 great companies. Of course, we are sponsored by OREP Insurance. Let me share with you one of the reasons that I am an OREP subscriber, a member. The reason I subscribe to OREP is not a reason at all. It's reasons plural. And one of them is the great benefits that come from being an OREP member. I don't know what you're paying for continuing education, folks, but I just got finished with 2 7-hour classes, so 14 hours total of CE this year that I was able to count toward my 3 licenses in Wyoming, Utah, and Idaho. Yes, it counted as CE in all 3 states, and it was free. I don't know what you paid for your last online or in-person class for CE, but it's not cheap. We're talking a couple $100 at the very minimum, sometimes much more than that. I took 2 classes. Let's just say that they were worth $250 a piece. I saved $500 in CE this year, which, by the way, was not, I mean, when you look at what I paid for E&O, I basically got free E&O this year. That's pretty awesome. Check them out. Go to orep.org. That's OREP.org. We're sponsored by Alamode, and Alamode, of course, is the software that I started on 20 plus years ago. It's the software that allows me to do everything that I do in the field. That means take pictures, my comp pictures. I can drive. They've got a map right there. If my comps are in, which a lot of times they are, all I have to do is look at Alamode, and it drives me around. Well, it doesn't drive me, but it tells me where to drive. So I can get my comp pictures and put them right in the report. It saves me that middle step of throwing it in Dropbox or emailing it to the office or whatever you do. You can throw it right in the report along with all the photos of your subject, your sketch, your rooms, your details. It's awesome, folks. It saves me so much time. It will you too. Alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE. Finally, we're sponsored by DataMaster. I love the people over at DataMaster. Why? Well, first of all, is it DataMaster or DataMaster? I've asked this question to them several times, and their answer is always the same: yes. So whether you call it DataMaster or DataMaster, trust me, folks, what it is an investment in you and your business, because it's your ability to save 30 to 60 minutes per report, every report that you do. It allows you to be able to hit a button and import data or data that will allow you to be able to do more with less. DataMaster or DatamasterUSA.com. Check them out, DataMaster or DatamasterUSA.com. All right, folks, we are back. And yes, this is a full episode, but I promised to keep it short, and I will. I promised to keep it under 30 minutes. I think we'll keep it under 30 minutes by a long shot. I just want to take you through the process that I go through, okay? And the process that I go through is very, very simple. On a regular basis, quarterly in my case, and sometimes I miss, okay, but not very often. Because as I told you in my last episode, my balance sheet and my profit loss statement are emailed to me quarterly from my bookkeeper. Okay, that's just something that she does. She puts it on a calendar, and every quarter a little thing pops up and reminds her, and she prints it out, she sends it to me, and it's my reminder to get on it. Well, here's the thing. I'm pretty anal retentive about it. Okay, I can probably sweep it aside and go, you know what, I'm too busy. I already know I'm doing well. I'm raking in the bucks. I don't need to look at this. Well, I've kind of just disciplined myself to never do that. So when it comes to my inbox, I do one of two things. I either look at it that day, or usually I'll snooze it. I love the snooze feature in Gmail. I will snooze it to Monday morning, because Monday morning is when I do my on it, not in it. My ONI is what I call it. On it, not in it. And that's when I work on my business, not in my business. And that's part of my on it time. That's working on my business by looking at my P&L and my balance sheet. Okay. And so it gets done, whether it gets done that day or it gets done that week, or, let's say I'm just super busy and I don't get to my on it, not in it time that week. I'll just snooze it to the next week and I'll get to it next week. But it's pretty rare when I just delete it and say, I don't want to look at it right now. I can't even remember the last time I did that, because this to me is absolutely essential if you're going to distinguish yourself between being just a technician, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. The way I said that, just a technician, didn't mean to disparage technicians out there, okay? There's a need for what we do, and you are all very good appraisers. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about being a business owner as well. And many of you are, okay, but we sometimes wear the title and not necessarily go through the practices, if that makes sense. Okay. And today, one of my goals is to help you to see how easy it is to go through a P&L so that you will do it. So that you will say, you know what, that doesn't scare me anymore. I read that Accounting Made Simple book that Dustin shared by Mike Piper, and I learned a few things, and I learned that it wasn't too hard. Okay. And so what I want to do is just share with you the process that I go through. I've got my P&L in front of me right now. It's very easy to read, okay? It's a printout on QuickBooks. And all I do, folks, is go through a 5-minute process of starting at the top. And what I'm looking at is gross revenue, okay? Gross profit. And this is for the last 3 months, okay? And it shows me what my profit is. And I like that number. That's a great number, right? And I know where I'm fitting because a lot of times I will take my P&L and I'll compare it to last quarter, okay? Or I'll do a side-by-side. QuickBooks allows you to do that as well, so that you can kind of just judge whether you're going up or down, okay? And that helps me to make decisions. So I'm looking at the gross revenue, okay? This is the gross profit from appraisal sales. And I like that number. And now this is where I get, that's easy, okay? That just shows me, hey, this is how much money you brought in. But it means nothing if you don't have profit at the end of the day. And all you have to do is go through the cost of doing business, okay? And just make sure that everything is balanced. Just make sure that you're not spending too much money on frivolous things that really don't matter. And when you can trim off here and trim off there and look at this and say, I didn't realize that I was paying that much for that thing. Do I really need that thing? I mean, I really like that thing, but do I really need that thing? And that's when you become a business owner. Because as a business owner, you're going to go through your expenses and you're going to say, do I really should I spend that money there? And at the end of the day, I want my net income, my net profit, to be at a certain level. Now, by the way, let me just share with you just one brief thing here. One of the things that I talked about last week, and this is something that I will do for you if you want to go through this process. It can be very, very beneficial to you because, again, as I talked about last week, I'm going to teach you how to fish, and I'm not just going to give you a fish. Okay. Now, if you have a question about your finances, great, I can help you with that. But if you truly want to learn this process that I go through, I will walk you through step by step. But I will do it with your finances, not mine. Okay? And we'll go through your P&L. We'll go through your balance sheet. But let me just share with you one of the things that you need to look at. There are certain ratios that you should be looking at as benchmarks. They're not set in stone. They can be a little bit flexible here and a little bit flexible there. But notice I said a little bit flexible. Okay? And these are very, very clear when you look at the success of service-oriented businesses. Okay, when I say service-oriented businesses, I'm talking about businesses that don't create a widget. Okay, yes, I know that we deliver an appraisal, a piece of paper or a PDF or an XML at the end of the day. I get that, but that's not really a product. What we're doing is providing a service. All that is a reporting of the service that we did. Okay. And so in a service-oriented business where you don't have the cost of the materials, for example, if you're making a widget, okay, you've got to go out and buy the materials or create the materials that then you can put together to make that widget. We're not doing that. A service-oriented business has certain benchmarks that you need to be looking at, and I can help you through that as a coach. But one of the things that you need to look at is your owner salaries and distributions need to be hovering around 30%. Let me repeat that. That's you, okay? You're the owner. You're like, who's the owner? The owner salaries and distributions in a service-oriented business need to be, that's salaries and distributions, okay? Needs to be right around 30%. Well, how do you know whether yours is or not? Good question. It's called a P&L. That's where you come up with that number. And you need to know that number. You need to know where you're at with your operating expenses. You need to know where you're at with, and part of that is your salaries and your contractors. Okay. You need to know how much money are you putting away in savings or what sometimes is referred to as a slush fund. Okay. When something goes terribly wrong, something you weren't planning on, do you have that slush fund available so that you can remain in business? You know the statistics about small businesses and how they don't stick around very long. There's a reason for that. Okay, don't be a part of that statistic. And part of that is understanding your P&L. Understanding how much gross revenue do you have coming in? How much are you paying in software, hardware, rent, utilities, gas? Did we talk about software? Salaries, contractor pay? How much are you paying yourself? How much are you distributing? Are you a corporation? Okay. How much are you putting away to charity and to savings and to slush? Okay, these are all questions that every business owner should be able to answer. And the reason they should be able to answer is because it's something that they're looking at on a regular basis. That's it. It's that easy, folks. Literally, I cannot stress this enough. I would not do this if it was hard, because I'm lazy. I'm a lazy business owner. Okay? Now, I care very much about my bottom line. I care very much about my gross. I care very much about how much I'm paying for this, that, and the other, because I care about how much money I'm going to bring home at the end of the day. That's why I'm in business. Sorry to make it so blunt. If they stopped paying me for appraisal services, as much as I love looking in people's closets, I would not do it for free. I wouldn't. You could not see me going out tomorrow if they passed a law tomorrow and said paying for appraisal services is now illegal. Guess what, folks? I just found another job. Okay? At the end of the day, it's all about profit. Now, granted, I love what I do. Granted, there's some really great nuggets of cool things that can happen through the process of appraisal. In fact, the other day I had an opportunity to educate a homeowner and spend about 30 minutes longer in their home than I had planned on. And I walked away thinking that was fun. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being a teacher in that moment. Those are some of the side benefits of appraisal. And there's certainly a lot of good that we are doing as appraisers. But the bottom line is if I didn't get paid for it, I wouldn't do it. And I think you're probably, as much as you hate to admit it, probably the same way. So in the end, I care about my finances. But if it was hard, I wouldn't do it. I make it easy. Again, if you're spending more than 10 minutes looking at your P&L and your balance sheet on a regular basis, I'm not saying that on an irregular basis that you shouldn't spend more than 10 minutes, because you should. But this should be a practice that you do on a regular basis. And if it's hard to do, you probably won't do it. My goal in the last 2 weeks has been to make a balance sheet and a P&L easy to read. I hope that I have, and I hope that I can help you. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, please visit my website, theappraisercoach.com. Click on the coaching tab. It would be my honor and my privilege to help. Thanks for joining me today, and thanks for joining me last week. We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.